This is our recording, and Stephan Pende is our teacher this morning. Thank you, Stephan.
Some more people are joining. Hi, Mikkel. Another person from Scandinavia. Are you in Copenhagen?
Yes, I am. Good to see you.
Hi.
Sorry, I couldn't attend yesterday. I was out playing a gig with my band, so.
Okay. What are you playing?
Rock music.
You play the guitar, I see.
Yeah, but I'm mostly a singer, actually.
Okay.
I play guitar, but.
What's the group?
We just play cover music. It's called Grand Theft. But
okay.
We play good music, and it's good fun and you know, entertaining. They have a good time, so that's good.
Yeah. Yes, so welcome everyone. Wonderful that you join on a Sunday morning for you and a Sunday afternoon in Denmark. And we are in verse 8 and 9 in the 37 practices. And one way to structure the text is that the first 10 verses give us an overview over the Lamrim, the progressive or gradual path. And we have covered precious human life and death from the first scope. And with verse 8 and 9, we are in the second scope of the Lamrim, which is about renunciation. And renunciation is maybe not such a good translation. So it is, another translation is emerging, emerging from patterns, from a way of living which doesn't work, which creates suffering and dissatisfaction. So we emerge from that. We emerge from our reactivity. We emerge from grasping. Less grasping, less suffering. So that's a slogan of Lama Zopa Rinpoche also. Less grasping, less suffering. And that is immediate. So in this moment, if we relax into a being here with less grasping, it's probably not possible to be here without grasping for us, but we do little baby steps, little baby steps of letting go, of being here, welcoming what is, embracing different instruction, different pointers which reduces suffering. And suffering here not in the sense that it reduces the pain, but it changes the way we relate to what is happening. So we can relate to what is happening with a strong sense of wanting to get rid of it or wanting to have something else. Or we can explore what happens if I say yes. What happens if I just feel what I'm feeling? What happens if I just hear what I'm hearing? And we don't need to be too ambitious in that. We can just enjoy a bit more lightness. So with renunciation, we explore the possibility to travel lighter through life, to engage in a way to what is happening, whatever it is, so that it creates less struggle. So with renunciation, we emerge from struggle, or at least we start to cultivate the intention to do that. So sometimes it's difficult to say yes to what is happening, but we can have the intention. Yeah? I wish I could let go. I wish I could just be here. I wish I could just be in love with what is. I wish I could be just myself in this moment. I wish that. I can't do it. I don't know how to do it, but I wish it. And that wish by itself can make a difference. Don't underestimate the power of aspiration, of intention. So in our first meditation, I would like to look at the pattern of grasping. And I'm going to use a kind of I will use our imagination. So let's first take some time to settle, take our seat as practitioners in the Mahayana tradition in our temple, our virtual temple, our virtual Gompa, which is happening within the enlightened activity of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Lama Yeshe, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And although we are physically separated, still we can have a sense of being together. So take your time to adjust your posture. Taking your seat under your Bodhi tree, which is in your living room, which is really convenient. It is not far away in some other places, but it is in your home. And how wonderful that we are here with our Sangha, with fellow travelers. And then just notice what you bring with you, what is the inner weather. Now, taking your time to check in. A sense of dropping into the body, shifting gear from the doing, from overthinking, or sliding from the head into the body. Down into your feet, noticing the ground carrying you, the floor, the chair, the couch. And then with the out breath, softening, opening in the belly, in the shoulders, in the face. Maybe you can deepen your breath for a few minutes. And breath and your awareness, your attention is like a embrace. So with the in-breath, touching and holding softly. Particularly if there's something restless or something contracted. So you try to welcome as best as you can. And then the out-breath happens, softening and opening, letting go, maybe having a sense of relief. And appreciating that we're doing this together, and that nobody of us is alone, that we share the human experience. We are all humans with feelings, we all struggle. So when you embrace your experience as it is, you do that also for all of us. So we bring love, acceptance into the shared human experience, a common humanity, which is difficult because it's hard to be here, to be alive as a human. But we're not alone. We struggle together. And then with the out breath, sharing lightness, love, kindness with yourself, with your inner parts, but also with all of us. Feeling the heart connection between us as human beings, united in the vision of bodhichitta. And really drop into the body. You know, we often have a sense that we are sitting up in our head and we have a body, like a horse, a rider has a horse. So see if you can relax that notion. Notice the awareness in your whole body, the aliveness in the whole body. And then we call upon the presence of His Holiness, Lama Zopa, other masters and teachers. We call upon the presence of the Buddha. And many of us, we know that feeling of entering a sacred space, entering the presence of masters of the Mahayana tradition. Your body knows that experience. So allow that to happen now, as if you are actually step into a sacred space, which is pregnant with essence love. And bathing in that. Let's bathe together. Let's marinate together in the lineage. Together as sons and daughters of all the Buddhas, as brothers and sisters. And the wonderful thing is that right now with us, there's thousands of people who step into this temple with us. We don't know who they are, but they are here with us, united in silent prayer, united in presence. There's a field of prayer happening on this planet 24/7 since thousands and thousands of years, even before the historical Buddha. Right now, there's countless people praying for you. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche are praying for you right now. That's what they do all the time. They have us in their hearts. And when you deeply listen with your body, with your heart, you can hear their prayers. You can feel their presence. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to be someone else. You don't need to fake or pretend. You can just bring yourself along. Everything is already forgiven. Everything is already loved. And even if you feel lost and confused, they know exactly where you are. And they will never give up on you. And with the in-breath sliding as best as you can, try to lose interest in the radio station of the narrative self, in the fake news of what about me? And just be here and allow yourself to be infinitely loved by the presence of the awakened ones. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to figure anything out. You're infinitely held, infinitely protected, infinitely safe. If you get hooked, you unhook. Into stillness, into peace. So in order to get to know the pattern of grasping, I invite you to imagine that you are in a desert, in a vast desert. Here in Europe, what comes to mind is the deserts of North Africa. But so there's deserts, maybe you have visited in the United States. So you're in this desert, and there's the openness of the desert, just dunes of sand. And you are thirsty, very thirsty. And you're walking in the desert. So see if you can get a sense of that experience of being thirsty in your body. And then far away, you see the shimmering of a mirage, and you're fooled by it, and you think it's water, and you run towards it, and you imagine how it is to plunge into the water and to drink and to bathe. So feel in your body that sense of grasping towards something in the future, something which you're just about to have, that satisfaction, quenching your thirst. And you run towards the mirage, and when you're there, you bend down, and all you have in your hands is sand. What a disappointment. You almost felt the cool water, but it's not there. There's nothing there quenching your thirst. And you look up, and there, on the horizon, another lake shimmering, a mirage, but you don't know it yet that it is a mirage. So you get up and you run, even more desperate, even more thirsty. So feel that grasping, leaning towards the future, hoping that there is something there which will finally satisfy you. How does it feel in your body? That hunger, that thirst. That lack. And you run and run. And you come closer. And you feel almost, I'm almost there. I almost have it. And then you arrive, and all there is desert, sun, sand. So the desperation grows. And you're completely close to anything else. All there is that hunger for water. All there is the hope. To find water. To find peace, fulfillment, rest. So you look up, and yes, there it is, another mirage, shimmering, telling you tales of water, of satisfaction, of peace, of completion, of safety. And again, you get up and running. And again, all you find is what is that sand. So feel that sensation of grasping. And where do you know it in your life? What is your mirage? Your hope to find in a distant future? And notice how it narrows down, contracts your whole body. How you lose connection with what is happening. If I only have this, if I only have that, then I will be complete. Then I will be satisfied. If I only have that, that will quench my thirst. From the Buddhist point of view, we have been running around like that since beginningless time. But also if you just look at our life, this life, how much time did we spend to lean forward, to hope there's something in the future which makes us complete, which brings us peace, fulfillment, which is home, which is safe. So renunciation is that insight, how hopeless that is. And we slow down. We soften into the present moment with the trust that the water of life we are looking for is actually available in this moment. And it is this very act of seeking which covers up that we already have what we are looking for, that we already are what we are looking for. So feel the softness of relaxing the grasping. Right there where you are, with the ground beneath you, with the kindness in your heart and the kindness around you, with the mystery of daily life. With the way your life is right now. Notice yourself being here. Notice what happens if you let go of the hope of a better future. Could it be that what you're seeking is available in this moment, that you have everything in this moment available to be complete, to be whole, to be safe? What happens if you open the fist of grasping, like really opening, like opening a clenched fist, opening into the present moment? And drinking the water of life where it is in the present moment. Exploring the possibility that the infinite love we are longing to unify with is available. Nothing needs to change. And then you rest. Just there. In the midst of your experience. Yes, and there is movements of contraction, of tiredness or tension. But that's okay. There's so much space here also for that. Doesn't mean that you need to move. Just rest. Doesn't mean that it needs to change. Just rest. So renunciation is to give up that hopeless running, to merge from that. And then if you do that, you become a source of peace. You become a source of peace and rest. You become like a tree in which people can rest, shadow of a tree. You become the source of healing for the people around you. Invite them into the shade of your tree, into the cooling presence, into the stillness, which is only always available now. How wonderful it would be to become like that tree, giving shade and fruits and love and presence to everyone who enters. Because you rest. Imagine to be the place of rest in your family, in your relationship and in your work. To be the place of rest for your clients and customers, for the people you work with, for your colleagues. Place of rest in the team you're working with. In the same way, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Lama Zopa are a place of rest for us. And then sliding out, opening your eyes, staying connected in a place of rest. So part of our mindfulness practice here is to become curious about the patterns of grasping in us. And again, I already said that yesterday, the medicine here is not applying an antidote. The medicine is loving awareness of the patterns of bondage. Just that. Becoming curious about that. Now, noticing in daily life the patterns of leaning forward, and not being here, but leaning forward, leaning towards, like in that image of the person thirsty in the desert, to feel that impulse, that hope that the next cafe latte will do it, or whatever. Yeah. And then also, I guess most of us are in a place where we already recognize the hopelessness of running around in the rat race of career and making money and so on. So, I mean, we are here because we already turned to something deeper. But also that can become that kind of rat race. Yeah? So our spiritual practice can be governed by that grasping of hope that the spiritual practice, the meditation, the yoga will make us better, feel better in the future. And that is, that grasping is symbolized in the teachings as a hungry ghost, a really powerful image. And so not talking about the different realms of hungry ghosts and so as like some other places, but as psychological states which are happening, or patterns which are happening within us. So get to know your hungry ghost. And the hungry ghost within us is obviously is not all what we are. So we can look at that hungry ghost. The hungry ghost, which is terrorizing us in our life, even if you look at just one life, connects with our psychological history. A hunger, a grasping, which has been developed within us. Not because we choose it, but because something happened to us. And it's so important not to develop aggression or violence towards these hungry aspects in us, that incomplete aspect, that incomplete part in us. But to recognize that part. Where do you feel it in the body? Just noticing it. And by just noticing that part, something already slows down. You're more in the present moment when you notice that grasping, that fist. Well, sometimes we do things, for example, just like we do a cleaning job in the house, with a sense that there will be more completion after we have finished it. It's so hopeless because it's not going to finish. So how about finding the sense of completion, the sense of here-ness while we are doing the cleaning? How do we do that? First, by noticing that fist, it's like a contraction in your body, in your heart, in your belly. I need to get this done, and then I can rest. It's so stupid. And then if we look at a more broader picture from a Buddhist point of view, we have done all the cleaning jobs and all the travels, and we have seen everything, we have done everything. We were famous, and we were this and that, and all the things which we might feel we need to accomplish in this life. Nothing, no project, nothing will bring you home. Not moving to another flat, not getting divorced or getting married, not having children, nothing. None of these projects will make us complete. So that part which in us, which is seeking, covers up the fact that we are already fulfilled, that we are already home. That the water of life, no, we are like a fish in the ocean looking for water. And becoming more and more desperate. Swimming quicker and quicker. And being fascinated about the stories and the description of water. And missing that we are swimming in water, that we are water. So renunciation is, sometimes when I don't know what kind of connotation in a native English speaker comes with the word renunciation. But the German translation of it is not very sexy. I mean, it's not like something I would sign up for. Yeah. But it is actually giving up something which doesn't work. And that takes some time to realize. So that doesn't mean that we are not open to the pleasures of life, the pleasures of daily life. Obviously, that's very good. I remember a Catalan friend from Barcelona who said to me, if there is a moment of sunlight, a ray of sun, just sit in it and soak it in. Yeah. So of course we do that. But at the same time, we don't put our money on it because it's going to pass. And on the other hand, there's a lot of days where there's no sun. And that's not a big deal. So we learn to travel lightly to moments of sun and moments of darkness. Because in our journey, we start to discover that there is something bigger than the ups and downs of the sun rising and the ups and downs of the weather. The weather is changing because we start to discover something bigger, something more, something which is not dependent on how well our life is going. That's what we turn to. That becomes our refuge. So in the end, it turns out that renunciation is very sexy. So let's look at verse 8. The suffering in the lower realms is extremely hard to endure. So I already mentioned the possible view, and of course not everyone would agree upon that, but to look at this word lower realms not as some other places, but as psychological states. Yeah. Yes, and isn't it hard to endure? Isn't it hard to endure to be tortured by that hungry ghost? And that's just one of them. So the other way, the other patterns of suffering hard to endure is hot anger, boiling anger, jealousy, jealousy, envy. It's hard to endure, right? I mean, become aware of it. Become aware of what is happening in your body in moments of envy, in moments of jealousy. And then there's also what is called the cold hell. Yeah. Get to know the cold hell in daily life. Hardness, the bad look. When we close our heart towards others, when we become frozen, it's hard to endure. And becoming aware of that, noticing it, naming it. What you become aware of, what you name, starts to lose its power. You need to notice it and name with kindness, with gentleness, not from a in a critic point of view, from a judgmental view, with compassion. Oh, there it is, the coldness of my heart, the hotness of anger. Breathing into it, recognizing, accepting, investigating, non-identification. The rain model of Tara Brach. Yeah? Recognizing, noticing, accepting, investigating, being curious. Where is it in my body? Appreciating the non-static, adventitious nature of these realms. Being fascinated that in one day we can enter so many rooms, so many realms within our being. And they are all impermanent, and they are all empty. They don't exist, except in the bricks and mortar of our own conceptual mind. There's nothing there, really. Empty appearances, which appear as a prison. The prison of the cold hell, of the hot hell, of the hungry ghost realm. What these states need is unconditional love and wisdom. That's the medicine. And when you are able to do that within your own journey every day, then that kind of loving gaze will also be available to other people. So if someone is in a cold hell or in a hot hell or in the hungry ghost realm, you just have softness for that because you know it from yourself. There is no need to blame a person for being in a hot hell or in a cold hell or in a hungry ghost realm. It's based on confusion. That person is confused. What are the people in your life right now who tend to drop into the hot hell or cold hell or into the hungry ghost hell? It's so hard with someone to live with someone, to support someone who is addicted. It's so hard to be a loving witness. But that's what we want to be. That's what the intention is. We can cultivate. May I be here in that hot hell, in that cold hell, in that hungry ghost realm as a loving witness. Starting with myself. These psychological states, these realms, they are not real. They don't really exist. There's nothing there. Actually, you and also the people, for example, someone who is addicted, they are actually not there in the hungry ghost realm. It's made up. And none of these realms has the potential or the capacity to destroy who we really are. None of these people, sometimes we might give up upon someone who is in the hungry ghost realm. But they are not lost. What they really are is untouched. Or someone being lost in the cold hell of disconnection, of trauma. That's what trauma does with us. It makes us disconnect. It makes us hard. It makes us not trusting. It's not real. It's not who we are. It's not what that person is. How wonderful it would be if we could be loving witnesses. Here, loving the kind of love which also sees the emptiness of these patterns. The union of emptiness and love. To love it to death because it does not exist. To love it to death by not finding these realms as something real, as something existing. And then responding to the situation from a more, from a soft place, from a place which doesn't have an agenda, which just loves, which is just present. I'm here with you, whatever it is. I'm here with you in the hell because it's not real. I don't believe it because I see the goodness in you. I see the health in you. I see the light in you. So the suffering in the lower realms is extremely hard to endure. The sage, which is the Buddha, says it is the result of destructive actions. For that reason, even if your life is at risk, don't engage in destructive actions. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. For that reason, even if your life is at risk, even if your life is at risk, this is such a powerful pledge, such a powerful love, such a powerful vow, such a beautiful intention to have, such an amazing aspiration to have, even if our life is at risk, not to respond with our reactive patterns. And it's going to happen. It's coming. These situations will come. Where the question is, do I fall into a reactive pattern of violence, of grasping, of pushing others away, of ignoring? Even if your life is at risk. I mean, Tongme Sangpo asks us here to be Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, the Dalai Lama. And we can start, with the little things in daily life. And really make a strong bond to the commitment of nonviolence. Even if there's not enough food. Even if there's not enough water. Even if resources are scarce. I mean, that commitment to non-violence, to non-harming is huge. It's easy to commit to non-violence and non-harming when things are going well and we have food and we have a place to stay. And so even now, it could be that these things will be available for the rest of this life. But what is with the situation in daily life where it's a bit inconvenient? And it's important to develop a kindness towards the failing in this. I remember a situation where I failed. It was in the airport in Copenhagen, and there was a woman. She was freaking out because she thought she had missed her flight. And she was, how to say, I mean, she was someone you would expect to meet in the mental hospital. It sounds maybe strange, just to give like an unstable person, let's say, an emotional, unstable person. And I just didn't want to get involved because I was on my way to my boarding, so I didn't want to get involved. I just ignored her. But then I observed that there was a woman getting up and talking to her and trying to help her, and then it turned out he just had read the gates wrong, and the flight was still there, and there was still boarding time. So easy, so easy. But because I was so with my things, my concern, there was no openness to just pause for 5 minutes, to lose 5 minutes of my precious time to be kind to someone. So sad. Here I am. May I become a Buddha for the benefit of all beings. And then I don't take 10 minutes to ease the time of another person. So even if your life is at risk, I mean, that was far from my life I mean, missing a flight feels a bit like your life is at risk, right? It's it's amazing how we respond to that kind of situations. It feels like a matter of life and death. Such a bullshit. But it's a big thing to bound your heart so much to the vow of nonviolence that then in these kind of situations we don't fall into destructive actions, into patterns of what about me. So verse 9, another angle on renunciation. The happiness of the three worlds disappears in a moment, like a dew drop on a blade of grass. Like a dew drop on a blade of grass. It is like that. Holy shit. It's like, yeah. Oh, we are so fooled by these dewdrops. And then again, that's also again an invitation for us to feel into. So, what are these dewdrops for me? And then he says, the highest level of freedom is one that never changes. Aim for this. Yeah? So aim for the highest level of freedom, the one who never changes. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. So aim for that, the one who is the level of freedom which never changes. That's what we turn to in this movement of renunciation. So we turn away from the dewdrops towards the level of freedom which never changes. So what is that level of freedom which never changes? You can't say. Nobody can say. It's undescribable, ungraspable. The highest level of freedom is not something to get. The highest level of freedom is available now, always only now. The highest level of freedom is the cognizant, empty, loving nature of your heart, of your mind. The highest level of freedom is that which is looking through your eyes right now. The highest level of freedom is this. The highest level of freedom is prajna paramita, the perfection of wisdom, which is essence love. Lama Zopa is an embodiment of the highest level of freedom. So one way to bathe in the highest level of freedom is to bring this body into the presence of Lama Zopa. Knowing what you meet there is your own being, it's your own heart. The outer teacher is a reflection of the inner highest level of freedom. It's a symbol pointing towards. All Buddhist scriptures point to the highest level of freedom. They point to it, but they are not it. Because they point to something which is beyond all descriptions, all words, all practices. The highest level of freedom can be only experienced in the present moment. And it is available completely now. So Ken MacLeod writes about this highest level of freedom. In this freedom, you are free from the projections of thought and feeling, and you're awake and present in your life. You're awake and present in your life. Reactions may still arise, but they come and go on their own, like snowflakes alighting on a hot stone, like mist in the morning sun, or like a thief in an empty house. What is freedom? It is nothing more and nothing less than life lived awake. Reactions may still arise, he says, but they come and go on their own. So it's not even about being free of these reactions. But we see their emptiness. We see that they are like snowflakes alighting on a hot stone. Like mist in the morning sun, like mist in the morning sun. You see, what you perceive right now as solid, as real, everything, I mean, this room, this meeting, whatever is happening in your life is like a mist in the morning sun. It's transparent. It's like a dream. It's not real. That's the message of the Buddha. It's empty already. We are not making it empty by meditating on emptiness. It is already empty. It is already not real. It is not real. So now, these are just words. So, and maybe these words resonate, and so we can study the teachings on emptiness and we can have a conceptual understanding. But what happens when you continue to practice is that you start to see things like that. This does not exist. I mean, it's It does not exist in the way it appears. The highest level of freedom is one that never changes. The highest level of freedom is the one which never changes. Beyond concepts, beyond words, undescribable, ungraspable. It can't be understood. It's not an object of knowledge. What is that? Something which is too close and too simple. It's the mighty, loving stillness which arises when you enter the space of an awakened being. And one moment of that, and those of you who have stepped in a place like that, remember that. One moment of that made this life absolutely meaningful. Doesn't matter what is going to happen in your life. Doesn't matter. Once you had a glimpse of the sky, you know that it is there. Not understanding it, not being able to put words on it, but that's it. You can die. Mission complete. The rest of the life is the cherry on the cake. Because that's it. I mean, isn't it amazing to come to a place where you got it? And how crazy how crazy that at the same time you don't understand it. But you got it. Remember that. Keep that in your heart. Of course, it's a memory, or it's a. But then you can bring this into this moment, because His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa, is here. This is them. This is them. And your mind will not ever be able to figure out what I'm talking about. But your heart already knows. Your heart already knows. I'm talking to that. I'm not talking to the brain, to the concepts. Yes. So throughout the text, and this is the beauty, I think, in this translation of Ken MacLeod and also in his commentary, all again and again in these different verses to return to the undescribable, to the ungraspable. Yeah, studying the Lam Rim, getting to know all this stuff, but always bringing the undescribable, the ungraspable. And still doing the stuff we do, being on the progressive path, but at the same time, be at home all the time also. Yes. So are there any questions? Nothing in the chat. Any questions, comments? Yeah, Philip.
Thank you so much for your teaching and for being here. It's so wonderfully pragmatic. I've often heard you say when we're talking about emotions and patterns and kleshas, to feel the feeling, to feel where is it in your body. So my question regarding this is, are you pointing us toward awareness, or are you pointing us toward emptiness? Or does one simply go to the other?
In that instruction, that is like a provisional instruction, progressive instruction. And what I'm pointing to is the felt sense of emotions in the body. And yeah, and there's reasons for that. Yeah, so maybe we don't need even reasons, because I think maybe for many of us it somehow makes sense to make that gesture. But one reason is that shifting our attention to the felt sense in the body lessens the identification with a story, and so it is a provisional method to bring loving attention to these aspects in us and healing them. And why would we want to do that is then, with some more spaciousness, with some more connection with the present moment, then we can respond to that question or become curious about the question, what is aware of all of this? So it is a provisional step towards exploring awareness or exploring the nature of your mind. Because if we are completely identified and contracted with the emotion, there's little space to explore the freedom which never changes. So it's a provisional step.
So it's not a question of you search more and more and find less and less?
That is also, yeah, that's part of that, yeah. So feel it in the body. Maybe using the RAIN model here, recognize, accept, and then investigate. So we look deeper into what it is, and we're finding less and less. And when we find less and less, we end up in the freedom which never changes. So to experience the freedom which never changes, there's like kind of two different paths. So one is the vipassana path, so investigating into the felt sense in your body and finding less and less. First you notice the impermanence, and then you go deeper, and then you end up in the freedom which never changes. The other path is the Mahamudra and Dzogchen, more like kind of pointing more directly to the freedom which never changes, and not going through the path of investigating into that which seems to sabotage the sense, the experience of the freedom which never changes. Don't know if that makes sense, but maybe.
That's very helpful.
So the Heart Sutra of investigating deeper into the content, into the felt sense, and not finding anything, and the Mahamudra question, what is aware, they both point to the same space, to the same freedom which never changes. The one is more like indirectly, maybe a bit more gentle, the Mahamudra Dzogchen. The investigating is more directly, more confrontative. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, when you were talking about the hungry ghost sort of mind state, you said, I think, maybe I misheard this, that they're not lost but untouched. Did I hear that correctly? Not lost but untouched. You were talking about
maybe I don't remember that I said it like that, but what I mean is, do you want me to say something about that? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah. What I mean with not lost is that sometimes in our life, in the relationship to ourselves, kind of we give up, or we give up on other people. Like, I mean, anyone here who has someone addicted probably knows that experience, like needing to kind of giving up someone. This is hopeless. Like, it's just that pattern and that pattern and that pattern, and then there's a bit of and then again and again. So what I mean is that we see that hungry ghost, but we at the same time we see the light, we see the Buddha nature, we see the goodness in that person. So nobody is lost. Nobody ever in this universe is lost, because that which we see is not real. And that what we can't see, that which is real, that will prevail, because that's real. Yeah. And untouched, I don't know. Well, maybe I said something about untouched. Maybe in the context of what you want to heal within you, you need to touch. I'm not sure. That could be. Yeah. So healing the hungry ghost within us and in other people means that we need to touch it. We need to be present to that. So we are present to that within us and other people with a view of unconditional love and emptiness. And in the same time, we stay in touch with that, with the freedom which never changes within us or others. So we are not kind of bypassing the hungry ghost within us or other people or pretend it's not there, but we touch it, we breathe with it. So we are present, lovingly present with the hungry ghost in another person and the hungry ghost within us. And being able to be in touch with the hungry ghost within us makes it also possible to be lovingly in touch with the hungry ghost in other people, because we are not afraid of that hungry ghost. So then again, in the sense of what Philip said in his question, or pointed to in his question, we are in touch and love the hungry ghost by not finding the hungry ghost as something real. Yeah. So, of course, that doesn't mean that sometimes for sometimes a very compassionate expression is to disconnect from people temporarily, because we can't disconnect from anyone. So at one point, we can't turn away from anyone. It's impossible. But temporary, the most kindest and wisest thing sometimes is to lovingly disconnect from someone, because we can't handle it, and it just leads into more mess, more suffering, to stay in connection. So we take a break for years, for months, for years, maybe for lifetimes. But that doesn't mean that we give up on that person.
Stephan, in the chat, yes, in the chat, Ali mentioned untouched as the loss of connection you mentioned as the result of trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, time is up now, but so one, so trauma here, I mean, when I use the word trauma, I'm not using it just in the sense of shock trauma, like some, so I'm also talking about experience of being rejected and not being held and so on. So what this kind of experience trigger, or the result of this, what happened to us in our psychological history, is that we disconnect, we contract, we stop to trust. Yeah. So that's what I meant. So how do we, and there's a lot, one could say a lot to it, but again, that part in us, the abandoned part, the contracted part, the part which in us which doesn't trust anyone and anything as a survival strategy, here in our practice in the Mahayana tradition, the medicine is to touch it, to be with it, to love it, to feel that part, to invite it back. So again, what I said before, what you want to heal within you and other people, you need to touch in this. So touch, I mean, to take it serious in that moment, to take it serious, but also see it as empty. Yeah, that's like, and seeing it as empty doesn't mean to say, oh, it doesn't exist, because while you are in there, while you are in the hell, it's absolutely real. It absolutely exists. So to touch it means to be aware of that contracted part in us or in others, and invite it back, investigate into it, give it some space, give space to the feelings, feel the feelings, invite other people to feel their feelings, and then it will dissolve. And then if it starts to dissolve, and more we can do that kind of healing work now in this life, more that freedom, which never changes, will become available to us. Yes, thank you very much for your attention, coming together in this sisterhood and brotherhood. And we dedicate the positive energy of this meeting to the awakening of all beings, including ourselves. Particularly, may the people who are in power awaken to their true nature, all the presidents and dictators, and so may all the people in power awaken to their true nature, and may people everywhere look after each other. Everywhere. In every city, in every town, in every community, in every family, where may people just look after each other. Thank you very much. See you in a month or so. Bye.
Bye.
So powerful. Thank you, Stephan.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care. All is fine.
Definitely, everyone.